What is up, YouTube? Welcome to the nighttrainprecision YouTube channel. Today we're going to be doing another concealed carry tactics video. It's a nice hot August day and it has been a little bit since we've done a video, so why not? Let's film one. Today we're going to be focusing on concealed carry inside of vehicles, and I'm going to be using my forward focus and my P365 to show you kind of maybe how I conceal carry inside of a vehicle and some of the tips and tricks that you can use to better conceal carry inside and around the vehicle. So without further ado, let's dive into it. All right, guys, welcome to the forward focus. Now, I just want to say I'm sorry if these sweat bees kind of jump in front of the camera here. We're working with what we've got, and in August, these sweat bees here in Ohio, they're really bad. So nonetheless, we're going to continue on. So starting off inside of a vehicle, mainly this is focusing on, carrying the firearm on you or in your person inside the vehicle. Now, I know a lot of people, once they get into a vehicle, they're going to take that firearm off. They're going to put it, in their glove box, in their center console, wherever, and that's fine. But ultimately, when it comes to concealed carrying, the whole point we're pretty much doing this, right, is to defend ourselves and our loved ones and things like that. And a lot of times, instances where you're in your vehicle, where in bad neighborhoods, bad areas, you're going to want that firearm on you. And so how do we carry inside of a vehicle effectively and somewhat comfortably? And so here are some of the tips and tricks on how to do that. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is carry appendix. If you carry it in any other position on your person, you're probably not going to be able to access your firearm very quickly unless it's in like a shoulder holster or something, which if that's the case, fair enough. The only thing I will say is in the same scenario, you're going to want the seat belt not obstructing your firearm. And you're also going to want to be able to access it quickly. So the first tip or trick that I have for you is taking your t-shirt and actually stuffing it behind your firearm so that now your firearm is exposed. You can get to it and you can get your shots off. Most likely you're going to be firing inside of a recessed position like that. You may be able to extend a little bit depending on the size of your vehicle, things like that. Like this is a compact car. Most likely this is what I would be daily driving to the city or somewhere like that where I would be more likely to run into these scenarios. So, this is good practice for me too. So now diving into that, now that we have our firearm, exposed and easily accessible, the next tip that I have for you is when you're wearing your safety belt, instead of running your safety belt or your seat belt across your firearm, you're going to actually take it and tuck it behind your firearm. That way your seat belt is still actually doing its job, but you can also still access your firearm quickly and do what you need to do. So most likely in all of these scenarios, you're going to be in this recessed, uncomfortable position. And so maybe practicing how to shoot like that too might be an effective thing to do. But with that said, this is kind of how your concealed carry appendix should look inside of a vehicle. Now I get that if you're going through a drive-through or something, you're probably not going to want to have your firearm exposed. So again, take your safety belt off, pull your shirt over your firearm. But man, when you're talking about like sitting at a stoplight and you've got crazy people around you, being as prepared as possible, man, it's a game changer because people can close distances really quick on you, and that's pretty scary. So the next tip that I have for you too is when you're thinking about ballistics and shooting through objects and things like that, you have to remember that your windows are actually keeping you protected in some way, shape, or form. And if you were to shoot through them, you're actually going to get rid of that barrier. So something to think about, especially if you're in a position where someone's trying to come around to the edge of your vehicle and maybe rip you out or whatever they're trying to do, is think about shooting through your door panel, even though that's probably not going to hit them center mass. But if you're in a pickup truck or something like that, or an SUV, you're most likely going to be able to hit center mass. But shooting through your door panel allows you to, one, get bullets on or towards target and still maintain a barrier between you. If you shoot through your window and you break your window, especially your side windows, most likely that window is going to shatter and now they can still get to you and reach in, grab your gun, things like that. So that's something also to think of when it comes to tactics, is maintaining as much barrier space between you and the threat as possible. And so maybe shooting through your door panels might be an idea in those circumstances. But with that being said, I'm going to hop back out of the vehicle and close this video out. So another thing that I wanted to mention to you guys is, let's say you happen to shoot through glass or shoot through your windows, or need to. We also need to understand ballistics and how that bullet interacts with the glass before it hits its intended target. And there are plenty of great videos out there that show you kind of what happens and how some of this stuff works. But I do want to just drop this bug in your ear. If you haven't heard this before, if you're shooting through a window, it's most likely going to alter your point of aim or your point of impact when you're shooting through it, especially when you're shooting it through windows that have very steep grades to them. One of the reasons is because if you think about it, obvious physics is, if you have a window slanted like this and you're on the inside of it, and you shoot out, the first part of that bullet is going to come, the top part of that bullet is going to come into contact with the window first. And what that's going to do is that's going to actually end up driving the bullet into an upwards direction. So it's going to hit, and as it pierces through the glass, it's going to roll upwards and come up. So if you see a lot of these videos, especially, where cops or somebody like that is shooting through glass, especially on the front of the car, and they're shooting from the outside here, what ends up happening is the same thing, but in reverse, right? Because we're, slanted in the opposite direction. The bullet strikes the glass and ends up doing a nosedive into the dash, because what ends up happening is that that bullet is grabbed first from the bottom part of the bullet, tipping it and driving it down. So that's something to think about, is your shots might go all over the place if you're shooting through glass and shooting through barriers and material. So it's something to keep in mind that, especially if your target is far away, there are a lot of things that can happen shooting through barriers such as glass. So keep that in mind. That is definitely something that you're going to have to weigh inside one of those scenarios or situations. You have to remember that you are responsible for every shot that you take. And if you hit an innocent bystander or something like that, you're going to have to answer for that. Even if your life is in danger, you still may take an innocent life if you have a round go off target and hit somebody innocent, and you will be tried for that. Unfortunately, for that person, that would be bad because they would lose their life, but it's going to be bad for you as well because you were trying to protect yourself, but you shot an innocent person instead. So it's definitely something to weigh and something to factor. Let's pivot around here, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about something else. All right, guys, so you saw this in the intro. You saw me do the dismount, get out, and shoot. Most likely in a self-defense scenario, you're never going to have to do that. One of the reasons why is, usually in a self-defense scenario, you're going to be trying to flee the area, escape threats. I'm going to knock these bees off the camera. All right, so you're going to be trying to evade the threat typically, right? But let's say, something's happening, something's going down. Let's say the threat is at your house, and you've come up to your house and you see the threat, right? You need to dismount and you need to put rounds on target safely and quickly, right? How are we going to do that? Well, one, we're going to have our firearm staged, right? And we're also going to have our seatbelt staged. Our seatbelt's going to probably be off already in this position. Sorry, guys, sweat bees keep crawling all over the camera. But you're going to be staged in the quickest way possible to dismount. So that's going to be seatbelt off, firearm easily accessible. And through this process, you're going to want to maintain control of your firearm. And the best way to do that is, once your dominant hand is free from all of the things that it needs to do to get your vehicle stopped, it's going to be placed on your pistol. And from there, you're going to maintain control of that firearm throughout the entire dismounting process. So let's get into it, right? So I'm going to get in the vehicle here. My seatbelt's already going to be off, and I'm going to be staged. The first thing that I'm going to do is, again, once I've placed this in park, pulled my parking brake, whatever it is that I'm doing, I am placing my hand on my firearm, and I'm using my off hand and my off leg to drive this door panel out. And on that drive, I'm going to be probably drawing my pistol, and I'm going to be kicking that door out and presenting my chest to wherever the threat is. Most likely my threat is going to be to my side profile, because if I'm coming out, I want as much clear range as possible. So I've canted off to the side, plates towards my threat, and I'm going to draw out and present to target. That is how you're going to dismount through, out of a vehicle if necessary. Most likely, you're never going to have to do that in a self-defense scenario because you're probably going to be evading a threat. But let's say something happens where, you have a family member at home that's in danger, and, you're getting home, and that's how you're going to, stop the threat. That's a method. So, I hope you guys enjoyed the video today. These are some of the tips and tricks that I wanted to share with you with concealed carry inside of vehicles. Yes, there's a lot of ways to mount things and do things, but honestly, the best method is keeping the firearm on you, because once you leave your vehicle, the firearm is on you. So, hope you guys enjoyed this video. I really enjoy putting it together for you. So, without further ado, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.